Hello, listener. This is Randy from in the future again, or for the first time. I don't know. Time travel's confusing that way. Oh, hey, this is the episode with Patrick from Make Dad Read Comics and Almost Educational. In that case, I'm here to let you know Patrick's audio is a little wacky for the first little bit, but about 15-20 minutes into it, it straightens out. Sounds great. This is a fantastic episode. Enjoy. Now, I need to get back to episode 100 somehow. Future Randy out.
You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
This is Randy. In the future, more roundabouts will replace intersections and traffic accidents will decrease, but sales of Dramamine will increase to offset the motion sickness from people going round and round in their cars.
This is Jesse. In the future, the U.S. president will take up transcendental meditation and will become so chill that trending worldwide in 2019, hashtag the Trump abides.
This is Patrick. In the future, we'll all transverse around in jetpacks or jets and cars, and the president will be called presidential at least 4 times on Tuesday.
This is Melanie, and in the future, many of our electronic components will become organic. So when we become cyborgs, will we really be cyborgs?
No, I don't want that. I want a robot body. I don't want no organic robot body.
When I'm doing cardio, I don't want to feel my legs.
But it's going to have little nano things in there, right?
Ugh.
Man.
So there,
Can it be
you'll
plant?
still be immortal. They'll go and fix
If I
everything
still
as soon as
feel
it
the
gets
burn,
broken.
is it progress, really?
Can it be plant organic technology?
Well, I mean, it's kind of
plant robot
it's gonna be like 3D printed meat, you know, basically, with little nanobots in them.
I mean,
just
delicious.
Made it worse.
Yeah.
I would just like to go retro and be the brain in a jar. Brain in a jar.
Forget about
Brain
it.
in a jar, yes.
That's a good
Spiro
point.
Agnew's body.
Ooh. Welcome to the Grawlix podcast. This is episode number 62 with conviction.
Yes.
And you may have noticed from our future predictions that we are joined by a fourth party. We have Patrick from Make Dad Read Comics and Almost Educational here. How's it going, Patrick?
It's going really well. It's not horrifically cold in my area of the Midwest today. It's bearable. Like my lungs didn't start on fire when I ran this morning, even though I had the cold, so things are going really well.
My lungs didn't start on fire when I got out of bed and walked into the other room.
Mine didn't start on fire when I went outside and smoked.
You went outside to smoke a cigarette?
Yeah. They were fine. They can handle it.
Sunday is my day of rest, so there was no burning lungs today.
Oh, good.
And not for religious reasons.
I was going to say it on the seventh day, Jesse
like
rested.
to sleep. I just like to sleep on Sundays.
Me too. No, well, yeah. I didn't get to sleep this weekend, though, because I had to read 2 books.
Oh, I'm sorry about the one now in retrospect.
two books.
I mean, she did have like 3 weeks.
Hey now.
But hey now. She powered through both of this month's books since last night.
Since today. It was after midnight when I started.
I was very impressed and nervous the whole time.
I got them done, though.
Was it this one you read after midnight?
Both of them.
It should.
Oh, this is an after midnight book. Good.
I was like, as long as she reads this book, because she'll like this one better than Daredevil, for sure.
I did.
Yeah,
But-
I figured.
Oh, good. Okay.
'Cause, yeah, this is right up your alley.
It is.
Yeah, so this episode we're going to be talking about Black Hammer, and we'll get into like how that came about in a moment. And then, since we mentioned Daredevil, next episode this month we will be talking about Daredevil. Ooh, which one was it? Born Again.
Yes, Born Again.
I kept thinking it was Apocalypse or something.
One of the like issue titles. Like
Oh, okay, that
Or
makes
I
sense.
guess chapter titles if you're reading it like a trade.
Yeah.
Was
Okay.
Apocalypse.
Okay, then that's good.
Purgatory and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we mentioned this on the pre-show, but I feel like it bears repeating for the real show. And if you're interested in the pre-show, where would we find that?
Patreon.com/Grawlix podcast. For
There we
$1
go.
a month, you can listen to all our pre-show episodes
Yeah. And you could
and other things.
you could get more if you gave more too.
And
Right,
actually, not to sidetrack your point, Jesse, don't forget what you're going to say.
No, I'm trying to put a pin in it.
Next month is our 4-year anniversary month of the Grawlix podcast. And I will have lots of things to drop. There will be new things on the actual podcast feed, and then also I have all kinds of goodies that I'm waiting to drop on the Patreon. So now would be a good time to jump on our Patreon if you want to help us out and get like extra stuff.
Yeah, and you can all set a table and we'll have candles and it'll be romantic.
Speaking of setting a table and having like awesome anniversary-ness, today is, as we record, is Randy's birthday. So happy birthday, Randy, on air.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
And by the time this episode goes up, it will have been Melanie's birthday. So happy birthday to Melanie.
Oh,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday, Melanie.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, future Melanie.
Yes. Future Muse. Thanks you. We have a weird thing.
What do you mean?
We're too close.
Our birthdays?
Yeah.
No, it makes it easy. We can celebrate both of our birthdays at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you not like that?
It's just strange. I did that with my sister all my life, you know?
Well, now, so you still don't get a good break.
I never have my own birthday. God.
Okay, well,
Melanie,
record-
tell us about your mother. Sorry, I went
yeah.
psychotherapy on this thing.
Yeah, I got it.
You got half of
I'm talking about my mama.
Already a Grawlix. Yay.
Grawlix.
Oops, sorry.
That's okay. And speaking of Patreon, again, I want to say thank you to our newest patron,
Sam.
Sam.
Thank you, Sam.
Sam from Woohooligan.
Woohooligan.
Oh, it's good.
You can't hear it without giggling.
It's fun.
It is. It's a great name.
I guess let's do some in-house news. Jesse had some stuff.
All right, so Andrew Schmidt, who is a longtime friend and Grawlix podcast listener, is also owner of Andrew's Clay Creations. He's launched a YouTube channel, and you can find that at youtube.com/Andrew's Clay Creations. And Andrew is well known for creating tiny sculpted figures out of polymer clay, needle felt, and this stuff called Warbler, which is kind of I feel like if you were going to make domino masks for like Robin or the Green Arrow or any of those guys, or even plague masks, that's what like this Warbler stuff does. It's kind of like it looks like leather, but it like molds like clay kind of. Mm-hmm. So on his YouTube channel, he doesn't really like teach you how to do it, but he kind of does like time-lapse videos of him doing it kind of thing. And he creates these one-eye blobs. He's a good friend of mine personally, and he listens to the show and has been a good supporter. So wanted to go ahead and give him a shout out.
We talked about him, I guess it was several episodes back now, but he did the cool Swamp Thing like bust.
Yes.
Yeah,
Some of that is Warbler too, that crazy domino material.
Cool. And he makes one-eyed blobs.
Yeah, one-eyed blobs.
Cool.
He's a good man. Yes.
Yeah, he seems super nice. I've only ever interacted with him online, but he seems like a super nice guy, and he's very talented. Now what?
Well, so I was thinking this. Back in January, we got a tweet from Patrick that said that you were going to join the MP3 club. So I feel like you had something to say about our January episodes. And I think that I can't remember what the books we were reading were, but I do know that we talked extensively about the Christmas special of Doctor Who.
Yes.
So
that's what it was on.
What do you think?
I think I have a guy I teach with has a very similar like taste in Doctor Who as I have. And so we both had like a long kind of roundabout debate on if we liked it or not. Mm-hmm. And the big takeaway I had was when I first watched it, I said, I like this a lot. It was low key. The world wasn't ending kind of stuff. Da, 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 da. And I think maybe that was Melanie's take on it a little bit more so. And then you guys got into the debate of like, should the old Doctor, the first Doctor, have been kind of fuddy-dud Doctor of the 60s? Since he's an eternal creature, maybe he would always be quote unquote woke and not sexist. And like, I was going to respond to that. And then I sat with my coworker, and like his big complaint was finally what I had. He was like, you know what I liked? It wasn't like, it was a good send off for a Doctor. We just didn't get a new Doctor thrown in midway through. We got finally a good send off. I was like, you know what? That's all I cared about too. We got to see the Capaldi Doctor all the way through. That was fine with me. Everything else was everything else. And so like, I sat down to record the MP3 and I had all that stuff I just said to you. I kind of went around in bouts. And then this coworker's echoing in my head of like, at least we got to see him off. At least we got to see him off. Don't worry about the rest. And I was like, you know what? At least we got to see him off.
Yeah.
So that was my big takeaway.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I did jump around a lot. Like as you guys were going through it, like I was like, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I was getting more and more fired up. And like the internet was amplifying it. So like when I go to the internet, I'm like, yeah, what's the internet saying about this? And I was like, oh, no, this is the worst idea. And then so I just sat down with another human being and talked about it, and we just came to the ending. Like he was like, you know what I liked at the end? He was like, that we got to see Capaldi for like 50 minutes straight, and it wasn't like him becoming the next Doctor and regeneration. I like that. And I was like, you know what? I like that too. That's all I cared about too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
My takeaway.
Yeah, it was a lot of Capaldi, and that's what you need, especially when, like, I don't know. I liked Capaldi a lot. I thought he was great.
I was say, I already miss him, and he hasn't even been gone yet.
Yeah. Well, and for me, like, one of the nice things, it was a nice clean break from one Doctor to the next. I think there's a lot of, like, one of the things I don't like about modern Doctor Who is, like, the reverence to go back from, like, 2 series ago and be like, do you remember this? Do you remember this relationship? Do you remember this? I'm like, oh, man. Like I don't want to, if I want to remember it, I can go watch it on my DVR. Or, you know, I don't need to go have, you know, these intercedent flashbacks all the time and stuff. So, like, I kind of like the clean break, and this is new Doctor and, like, a new companion. Like, everything starts fresh. Let's go.
Right.
I like that. I like that kind of Doctor Who.
I mean, they did do a... Remember this, except they went back like 700 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Remember this 52 years ago?
Yeah. I like that meta nod where they were like, how many episodes ago?
Yeah. It wasn't years. It wasn't regenerations. It was previously cool. 700 and something episodes ago, or 800, whatever it was.
They can't keep track of that anymore anyway. He spent like however millions of years in some kind of like torture cube or whatever the hell. Well, so they don't even know how old he is or how long it's been.
Rassilon, shaking my fist.
Moffat specifically would randomly jump them like 300 years in age between episodes sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
Not that it was really plausible to keep track of it before because the writers were inconsistent, but I mean, it doesn't matter, but I don't know.
Well, so much of that dovetails into what I think we're reading this week of like continuity and in universe and out of universe kind of stuff to where comic books and television shows and stuff I like that exist in continuity. I mean, I say it all the time when my dad read comics. When my dad gets confused on something, I literally just wave my head with my hands. I say like comic books or TV shows. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't ultimately matter. Like, and the more you get bogged down, the less you enjoy it. But I even caught myself doing the same thing, Melanie. I was like, well, you know, really, I mean, how many years old is it? I mean, like, then I was like, oh my God, what am I going to abacus out my phone out? Like, it just sucks all the fun away.
Abacus?
Yes,
someone got the abacus out.
You're mathing hard.
Well, when I went on the internet, I sure found out there's lots of people with lots of kind of abacus feelings about the episode. To the point where I was like, oh my God, the people have horrific takes that have nothing to do with my take on this that I don't need, and clogging stuff up.
And I get it because I think we all have tendencies to do that kind of thing sometimes, but people like to nerd out super hard on the technical details and stuff. And when it comes down to it, it's like, well, was the story good?
Yeah.
Does this like inconsistency or does it, or even slight plot hole, like, does it ruin it? Nah. Well, then you're good.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, as fans, we can justify a lot in our own headcanon, so.
That's true.
Exactly. Well, my big issue with everything is a fan trying to import their version of the story on everything else. Like there's especially in the age of the internet. I'm sure it was like the same thing with zines and stuff, but like there seems to be a real push and pull with the creator and the fan base. And then I think with anything, politics and fandom and anything else in sport out there, that there's a fracturing of the fan base, and it's just the loudest voice. It might not be the largest voice, but the loudest voice then gets its say, and you can see it start to like mutate and manipulate the product after a while. Like the X-Files is a good example of that. If you guys watched any of the reboot of the X-Files, I don't know if you're X-Files fans.
I was at one point, but I haven't
not
watched
the
any
new.
ones.
Okay, it's like it's like nothing against fan fiction, but it feels like someone went and picked out like fan fiction that existed in the years where X-Files wasn't on, and they were like, we're gonna adapt these scripts, and this is what we're gonna do because fans seem to like this, and it's like this is just bizarre. I mean, it's just bizarro. It's bizarro world stuff. It doesn't make any sense.
Oh, maybe I should watch
I mean, logically, plot hole, storytelling makes no sense.
my favorite X-Files were the ones that made no sense. That one with the aliens. Remember when
That one with the aliens?
when they were researching some couple that was on the road, and they were talking about aliens from space,
yes.
and then there were other aliens that they said, or I don't know, not aliens, I guess, but from the center of the earth. You remember that one? And it was like it's told from 3 different people's perspectives or something. It was hilarious. I love that one. That's my favorite.
Jose Chung's from Outer Space. It's the name of the episode. It is the best episode because it's everyone's got a different retelling of the story, and it gets crazier and crazier and makes no sense. But it's so fun.
And I'm struggling to think of a good example offhand, but I know what you're talking about because we are now occasionally getting shows that are like, hey, the show that was canceled 20 years ago, we're bringing it back. And it does feel weird, and sometimes it feels like it's like fan fiction or something.
Or it's just not a good product. Like Futurama was the best show ever, and then when they came back with
it felt weird.
It was wrong. It was not as good.
That's a good example. There you go. Like Futurama.
That's a better example than X-Files, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know the change. I mean, obviously, I guess just writers or
and the
perspective on it from
the people that had been working on it. That was one of those ones that they did stick to their story. Like they had it, like they were on it.
Oh yeah, Futurama was crazy with their their canon, their consistency.
Right. So they had like the people that worked on it had a history with it, and that's why it was as good as it was, because they were like really smart people and they were there the whole time. And then you just get rid of them all. It's not going to be anything like it was, you know?
Well, I think a large part was just, greed and fear of your fans. Greed to make more money off a product as long as you can, and then fear of, if you have existing fans that you're making money off of, that you're going to lose them, or you need to expand the base because they're dying off or aging out or whatever it is, and you just you get a lot of recycled things. I always wonder that everyone says that in media there's always old ideas are being recycled before the whole. I mean, this is going to be really scholarly, nerdy. This is almost educational talk here, so get ready. But like all that media itself, mass media, is not something that's existed for a very long time. I mean, so like, who knows if this is not the next evolutionary cycle of everything being recycled, that it's just going to be that this stuff's all going to be repurposed a bunch of times until there's a next big breakthrough. Oh, edit all that out. None of that made sense.
No, I get what
hammer all that up.
I get what you're saying. I do. Because it seems like we're getting more properties based on, I guess, member berries or whatever. Like, remember this or nostalgia versus like new properties.
Yeah.
And
Heathers. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Except Fuller House. That's really good.
Oh no.
I wouldn't know.
My tongue is firmly in cheek there.
Fuller. That's just a terrible title.
Have mercy.
So the question is that, I mean, God, how long, like longer than the Grawlix podcast has been around, we've been complaining about reboots and remakes and all this. Like, so I wonder if eventually
I love them.
I know you do. I wonder if that's going to fade out, or if we're just going to start doing more mid and late 90s properties, and then eventually we'll be doing early aughts properties, and like it'll just keep
I'm okay
along.
with like I think the best way to do that is what we've seen with like Stranger Things. Like, go ahead and have it set there and have it reference that stuff, but let's not just remake Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not even bagging on the sequel because I like the sequel, but I mean, like, let's not just cart out these old properties to do them again. Like, one of the most frustrating things I think I've read in recent weeks is that they're trying to get Bill and Ted 3 made, and of course they want Bill and Ted 3 to be a sequel. And you can argue whether or not Bill and Ted need a sequel or not, but the problem they're running into is that people just want to reboot it with new teenagers. Like that's what the studios want to do, rather than tell us a story about middle-aged characters that like a new story about these old characters. They want to tell us an old story with new actors.
Well, because the studios perpetually want that demographic for one. They don't want an older demographic because I'm guessing any money that the teen and 20-year-olds have is like much more disposable than a lot of adults, I suppose.
It's true.
And then also, you put new actors in there, you have the potential for a longer running new franchise. And yeah.
Well, how about this? They're old. Have them have children. And their children are the freaking focus of it then. Woo, there you go.
Yeah,
and they've already had
satisfy
children.
both.
I mean, that
they
happened in the last movie, so Bill and Ted already have kids.
How old are they now? If we did the... But I want to find out how they... I mean, they always talk about how they, like, changed the world, but then they didn't even tell them how. Do something.
That's what this movie is supposed to be about. They're in their middle age.
Yeah.
And they still haven't written the songs that changed the world. Bill and Ted 3 Face the Music. Bill and Ted Face the Music.
I'm actually kind of on board. That's
I want
to see that now.
It sounds like a fairly smart and charming script, and it's like they can't get it made because all these movie houses want to just start over with new kids.
They will go to Netflix.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
right? They'll do anything.
Yeah, go to Netflix then. Okay,
that would be good.
Netflix will do anything and actually usually kind of turn it into something good. So
yeah, they're amazing. When's my birthday present coming?
Oh, yeah, Netflix. Anytime. I can turn it back on. Netflix. Melanie's birthday present. What she wants is me to turn my Netflix account back on. That'll be one of your birthday presents.
I didn't get you two. You can't get me two.
In the past.
In the past.
Because this is the future.
All right. That was good. I can't believe the Doctor Who talk turned into all that. But
all right.
Do we want to move on to our feature topic?
I'm ready.
Our feature topic.
I think so.
Okay, so Patrick, when me and Jesse had went on Make Dad Read Comics, I think we picked the book, didn't we?
You did. Yes.
So this time when we invited Patrick on and kind of threw him the options, like, so what do you want to talk about? What should we read? And he gave us a few options, and we landed on. Okay, before I get to it. Most of his options had black in the title, and I thought that was
I don't know why. It wasn't like I was going off a list that had like black, like a alphabetical list. They were just popping into my head. Maybe I just alphabetized things chronologically.
Oh
in my head.
Sure. But we settled on Black Hammer, and man, I think I'm out of the loop on new comics coming out because I have not heard of this, and it's not like this is by some unknown or anything.
Well, I realized that I have kind of a blind spot for Jeff Lemire because I've heard that he does excellent work, and I've heard about his run on, I think it was Hawkeye, and Randy, you've even talked about on this show Jeff Lemire's run on Moon Knight, I believe.
Yep.
But really, I don't think I've read a lot of Jeff Lemire, even though he's pretty prolific. Or he's written a lot of things that people generally like. So I could call back there to Brian Kavon.
What have they done? Oh, things people like. Okay. I'm on board.
Yeah.
So Patrick, why was this? I mean, other than you just liked it, I guess. Why was this something you thought we should read?
Oh, three things. The thing one is I love Jeff Lemire. Like I'm a huge Jeff Lemire fan. He's from Essex County, which is literally across the river here from me, where I'm sitting now in Michigan, in Essex County, Ontario, which is just south of me. And he wrote a series called Essex County, which is all about Essex County, Ontario, and it's kind of like a farm town, and it's set in a trilogy. I think the first one's called Ghosts, or Three Ghosts, about hockey players. The second one's about a milkmaid, but they're really beautiful. Then he went on to write for DC Comics, and he wrote Animal Man. I fell in love with him in Animal Man, and I've met him twice and had him do sketches for me, so I like him a lot. Ooh. But I also gave this to you because this is the only thing right now that I read, other than, I think, Spider-Man, monthly, like pull list comic books in the floppies that I still pull, that I still enjoy. So that much to go get. And the third thing would be like my dad. I just know my dad would never understand a single page of this. Like I could have my dad, I think, read comic books for 20 more years, and I could give this to him because he has kind of tabula rasa. Like he's got about a 6-month reset of what he can remember, and the rest is like shapes and figures.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
like just there'd be so much explaining with this comic because it's so meta that his brain would just melt. We'd never get I would just be too frustrated and turn the recording off, and we would just pretend like someone was sick that week. We couldn't do the podcast. Ultimately, yeah.
I was going to say, side note, I noticed there's no, you said next week there's no Make Dad Read Comics.
Oh, yeah. Legitimately sick. There was legitimate sickness that went through from me to him to everyone else. Like, we just couldn't line it up.
Oh yeah, it's going around too, man. But I thought it was funny. I was like, oh, maybe there's a
no. It wasn't like that.
And the flu shot this year is ineffective because of the flu that's going around. It's not the one they gave us.
Oh really?
That's true.
I never get them, but
in the trade of Black Hammer, he did an afterword. He wrote an afterword, and he was talking about he initially come up with this idea, and it was after what Essex County or whatever that his first book.
Yep.
And before he ever worked for any of the big two, and that's part of why he wanted to do like this book kind of hit my, I don't know, I have this weird soft spot for knockoff characters, for analogs for big company characters.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, well, that's obviously this character.
Yep.
That's obviously this character. And I don't know why, but I love that. And so he wrote this before he'd ever worked for the big two, but didn't get around to actually working on it till after he's written, several of the characters that I'm sure he like kind of wanted to homage. So I found that kind of interesting.
That's how it was pitched to me when at the comic book shop when I went, and I said, "What the hell is that?" And I pointed, to the books. I've long kind of fallen off like checking the websites and what stuff is. I just go in and go, "Oh, this looks good," and buy it. And my comic book shop does a pretty good job of recommending stuff. I just said I don't really go in there much anymore too, so I feel bad. But he pitched it as this is Jeff Lemire's version of Justice League, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds kind of interesting," but that's not exactly what this is. And then at all. And then when I read the afterword, I was like, oh my God, this is so much more than, Jeff Lemire's Justice League. This makes so much more sense. Yeah, that's a pretty good summary. Analog characters is a good way to sum it up.
it is not about somebody trying to beat a train.
Beat a train?
I don't know. That's what... Remember?
John Henry Irons.
Yes.
Okay.
Or John Henry. Irons is Steel.
Until I started reading it, that's what I was like, is this about that guy? Because I remember
funny.
that story from when I was little. But
That's funny.
So Black Hammer is written by Jeff Lemire, art by Dean Ormston, and at least on this issue, colorist is Dave Stewart. And this started in 2016, and it's currently ongoing, right?
Yeah, I don't really know. I think they ended it, and they're going to start a second series in the universe.
Yeah, they're planning to end it here in April, I guess.
Oh, interesting.
The next last run or whatever.
I don't want to spoil too much by what I mean by how they're going to plan on ending it.
Okay. How should we tackle this? Do we want to just give a summary? Do we want to and talk about what we thought about it, or do we want to kind of like go through it?
I feel like we got to do a summary for this thing because I really want to.
Okay.
There's so many ways to try to explain this to somebody, and I think they'd all be comical.
So, okay. All right. Yes. First, Melanie, you when you were asking me what this was.
yes.
What did I tell you? I told you something about you take...
Is that if you take a bunch of superheroes or their,
counterparts, the kind of
whatever.
analogs, yeah.
Yeah. And you did like a real world thing where you stuck them all in a house together and then we're like, okay, now let's see when people start getting real or whatever, that kind of thing.
I had that reality show vibe too, yeah.
Yeah.
You stick them on a farm.
Yeah. So.
And you're like, what you mean?
It's all fun and games until somebody has to milk the cow.
No, when you said put them on the farm, yeah.
Melanie was like, what, you mean like they're farming the superheroes? I'm like, no, they just live on a farm. And you're like, oh, okay.
It's way more entertaining than you would ever expect.
Uh-huh.
Because that's legitimately true.
it's much more of like kind of a family drama, not like a family like it's a drama about.
It is a family. They might not be traditional, but they love each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's more of a family drama with these superhero characters.
Well, and that was kind of like one of I had like 2 or 3 different explanations. One of them was this is what happens if you were forced to play Farmville 4 years after it was still popular. And then my other one was like we've seen so many superhero comics where it's all about what they do as superheroes, and this is the superhero comic where we see them actually forced to be their alter egos.
Oh, that's a good point.
Well,
That's interesting because then there's also the wrench thrown in on some of them where
Yes.
they're forced to not be their alter egos, like Golden Gale.
Oh, sure. Sure.
They're
I-
forced. Sorry, go ahead.
I have I'm trying not to only base my summary on this of the first 6 or 5 issues of what the first volume would be, because I've read it beyond. But I pitched it to people when I get my cousin Mark likes comics, so I always pitch him on this, and I said like, imagine if there was all the golden age and early age silver age superheroes, and there was a crisis on Infinite Worlds, and they all got erased from existence, but their existence is stuck on like a farm out in the middle of Iowa. Like this is what happens to them. They're no longer being written about, but like they're still existing, and they can always be pulled back in mind by the comic companies at some point. Like here's them in the little side pocket universe.
So kind of like what happened to Marvel in the 90s where they just shunted them all off to be reborn.
Yeah, a little
Only
bit.
It's
yeah.
a farm.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Like that, but on a farm.
Yes.
it's a good thing. They should just establish that with everybody's like origin story. It'd be like, and they came from wherever with powers from this pocket world that they might one day have to go to and wait a while until we need them again.
It'd be a nice way it'd be a good hand wavy way to say that. And this comic books pocket universe.
Yeah, and they'll never die. Really,
They're standing by the catering table.
Yep, it'd make things lots easier when they bring them back from the dead all the time.
I also like the kind of the narrative, the way we would get a bit of some of their backstories.
The horror one was the most
The final
obvious.
when the way you're saying like it's structured how we're introduced to the characters. Yeah, maybe I should. Do you want to talk about like who the main characters here are? That
Yeah.
got shunted off. There's Slam Bradley or Slam Abraham, and he's kind of like an analog for Captain America or like those two-fisted Batman type fisticuff heroes of the Golden Age. You have I'm gonna say his name totally wrong. Barbarian. Like,
Yes,
Yeah.
alien. Yeah.
and he is like your John Carter of Mars, Martian plus Martian Manhunter, shape changer. You have, is it Golden Gal or Golden Girl, right? Gale's her name.
Yeah. She's basically kind of a reverse Shazam.
It's exactly what
Yeah.
she is. Yes. Yeah.
It's like Frasham or something like that.
Yeah.
I laughed when I read that.
It is good playing words. And then you have Colonel Weird, who is like your Adam Strange. Essentially, I mean, he even looks like the color scheme's Adam Strange. And then
Wears a
Madam
spacesuit all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And then Madam Dragonfly, who is like a witch, essentially, right?
She's like Raven or something, yeah.
Well, did you guys ever read House of Mystery or like Tales from the Crypt?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, because in that final issue, he kind of breaks the fourth wall where she's talking to you, the reader, as if the Crypt Keeper or like House of Mystery used to do, where like they say, I'm going to tell you a tale. She's an amalgamation, I think, of like one of those characters and like Raven or Madame Xanadu or something.
She's Elvira with less hair and boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Not until you get to the issue that kind of focuses on her that you get the bit where, like Patrick said, she breaks the fourth wall, where it's, she's like the, what is his name? A lot of the old, like, EC horror and the old horror pulp comics would do that, where the comic book would have a central character that most of the time wasn't even in the stories. They were just the Crypt Keeper or whatever, the narrator.
Right.
But
Uncle Creepy or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Who is the like female robot? Who is that an analog of then?
I don't know. I struggle with that, and later on, there's some stuff they play with that I don't want to spoil in this first issue. That it could be lots of stuff, but I just assumed it was always like there's always a robot sidekick type character in a lot of those stories, a lot of those early Golden Age and Silver Age stories.
Mm-hmm. See, I was kind of thinking it's like the reverse of Iron Man. Like Iron
that's
Man
pretty good,
is
yeah.
a mostly robotic body, but he's a human inside kind of thing. Where this is the same thing, only it's totally a robot, but she's more human than some of the humans.
Right, right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think of a direct comparison to another character for a robot, other than just like, you know, what's her name? Talkie Walkie?
Yeah.
Talkie Walkie.
Talkie Walkie.
Great.
Yeah.
I kept thinking of Helper from Venture Brothers.
Yes, me too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the robot character.
Yeah.
So how do we frame this for the listeners? Because I feel like it's like we're kind of hinting at what's going on here, but it's difficult to explain. Like we've tried to explain it. We've each tried to.
The basics is all these heroes at some point were fighting not Darkseid.
Yes.
Yeah, the
anti-god, which I love that too. And there was a big explosion. They succeeded, but like to the rest of the world or Spiral City or whatever, they died. Well, it turns out they were somehow transported to this rural town, this farm, and they cannot leave the town. And in this book anyway, it doesn't specify what happens when they leave, but they hint that bad things happen when you try to leave. So they're stuck in this town.
And are they hinting that Black Hammer tried to leave? Because it sounds like Black Hammer was there with them for a moment.
Oh.
Yes.
But we don't because we don't get the full story on that.
Right. And Black Hammer is a Thor-like character who literally has a black hammer, and it's laying in a field, and they all kind of just nervously walk around the black hammer whenever they think about leaving. And that's like the indicator, like, you can't leave. And bad stuff happens when you try to leave.
Oh, that
that
would have been awesome. I wish I could have seen that.
I'm a little slow. I didn't connect that it was Black Hammer. For some reason, I was just like, well, he died. He died in the fight or something. But that doesn't really make sense. So, yeah, good point. And they've been there 10 years at this point when the book starts.
Is it 10?
I think so.
They think they've been there
there
10 years.
Anniversary,
okay.
Yeah.
It's affected them all differently, you know. Like,
Yes.
Like some of them are okay with it, and some of them are like really not.
And they're keeping their superhero-ness a secret from the rest of the town, which is problematic because the reverse Shazam character, she is permanently stuck in her Shazam form, which in this case is a 10-year-old girl or an 8-year-old girl or something.
They said 4th grade, so probably like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas in reality, she's a 60-something year old woman.
I had a question about that. Does she age? Because if they've been there 10 years and she's been 9 the whole time, that itself should be,
I don't know,
a big weird thing for the town.
No, I get the impression that she doesn't age because they've been there 10 years. So
yeah, right.
She's just been that age the whole time.
And that's part of the weirdness of when she has to go to school. And there's that moment where the kids on the bus are like, "Oh, here comes that weird kid again." She has to not only to go to school as a 55-year-old in 4th grade, but she's not aging. She's always a perpetual 9-year-old girl or whatever old she is.
And then Robot's got to stay out of sight. Fortunately, the Martian Manhunter character can shapeshift.
Yeah.
Who's the other?
Abraham Slam.
Abraham Slam.
Yeah.
Well, he's taken to it. Like he
a great deal.
He enjoys the lifestyle. He's like the one of them that.
But he gets to leave.
Right.
Well, because
exactly.
he looks normal. There's nothing weird about him.
Yeah.
So he gets to kind of live a normal life there.
He can, and so can the witch character. She can look normal.
Through magic, yeah.
Yeah.
But she doesn't like to leave the cabin.
The cabin.
The cabin of horrors.
Yes.
Well, technically, Colonel Weird can look normal too, but
which leads
takes a little more effort on his part.
And the best part, Colonel Weird is so strange that we don't even know at that point if he knows that he's made himself look normal. Because when they're like, "Hey, that's a really nice thing you did," he's like, "Huh?" You're like, "What I do?" And he's like, "Well, time's funny. I don't really get it." He's very affected in terms of like he comes in and out of a parazone, almost like kind of like the Phantom Zone, where like he comes in and out of reality and kind of exists as this temporal ghost.
I really liked that character. I thought he was super interesting. And then when you
he's
get
the best
to his
character.
chapter, it's kind of horrible. Like it's heartbreaking because the weird like random stuff he says earlier in the book, you kind of then see through his perspective, like, this happening, and you're like, oh, that's not just, like, kind of funny and weird. That's kind of heartbreaking and horrible. So, like, yeah, his character's fascinating to me.
It makes me think of, I don't know why, but it made me think of, what is that book with the smiley face? The blue
Watchmen?
Yes, the blue guy. When he's talking
Oh,
about
yes.
stuff in the future, like he's been there and it doesn't, I don't know. That's what that guy makes me think of. That, like, it is sad because he already knows all the horrible things that they're still going to have to go through, when he goes and sees them.
You're more on the nose than you know, Melanie, in the future of the
nice.
series. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, a Swamp Thing analog.
Yes.
I enjoyed that.
I was.
Yes.
You've been biding your time on that one.
Yeah.
It's like, Randy
But
he's all over that.
I know, but he was just reduced to, like, her, like, accidentally made lover boy.
His side
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tragic Swamp Thing. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just a...
Love Slave Swamp Thing.
At
I
least
feel like we have an episode title there. Love Slave Swamp Thing.
I mean, he's just he's a minor little character in Madame Dragonfly's backstory, but it was fun.
I want to know more about her cabin because that thing seems kind of awesome.
Yeah.
All those rooms.
Well, that goes back to the idea of if you ever. I mean, I only recently in the past couple of years read like the old House of Mysteries, House of Secrets from like EC and then DC horrors, but that was one of the crux of there. Like a character would stumble into the House of Secrets and walk through a doorway, and then bad stuff would happen to them, and monsters would come out, and like there would be some kind of story that would be involved with it. Like that was an homage to all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But if I hadn't read that stuff 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh, that's cool. I had no idea, but like even more so, I was like, oh, I get that reference. One of those kind of things. But it doesn't really add to the story anymore. So it just, I again, all of it's speculating. I think that's what he's playing on there.
We kind of have like a secondary story arc going on in the background too, where like everybody that's left behind, and they're trying to like, was it Black Hammer's daughter?
Yes.
Trying to figure out what happened to them, kind of thing. And I mean, like we kind of see that come to fruition at the end of the volume, but so things have gone on without them, kind of thing. And
Right,
we get to
in
see
Spiral
that
City.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it only touches in with her a couple times, but that does set up the big cliffhanger for this volume.
Were they amnesia her?
Yeah, Madame Dragonfly.
Why would you do that? That's so stupid.
Well, I don't know.
Wait until after you find out what's going on first, and then amnesia her.
Yeah, dun,
I mean,
dun, dun. What?
at least find out how she got there before you do it. God.
It seems like she knows some stuff, and it seems like Madame Butterfly knows some stuff that she doesn't want the other people to know.
Madame Dragonfly, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh well, that's
Madame Butterfly.
That's. I mean, come on. That's obviously
Right.
kind of the joke there, right?
Yes.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Sure. But yeah.
But
It was the butterfly effect.
But and it's a great kicker because structurally, the opening issue is Black Hammer's daughter back in Spiral City, telling you, the reader, that 10 years ago, the anti-death god, whatever, the not. I mean, what is the not dark side shows up to destroy Earth. The heroes get thrown back into wherever they were thrown back, including her father, the Black Hammer, and she's going to go find them. And then we get 5 vignettes of the 5 major characters interweaving into the storyline of Slam trying to date the local waitress, and then how they all come together as like a family and function, while they're stuck 10 years. And you get, I did, even reading this the third or fourth time, caught up in the family drama story of like Slam trying to have a family of these misfit superheroes who, to greater and lesser degrees, like being stuck in the small town, or don't like being stuck, or could barely function as people like Colonel Weird or Madame Dragonfly. And there's all these little hints dropped of what might happen in terms of if you try to leave throughout the story, because there's a point where Gale, the girl who is not Captain Marvel, says to Colonel Weird, hey, you can take us through the Parazone, right? You can bring us back and get us out of here at any time. And then he gets his faraway look and he says, I tried it one time and the result was too good or too grave for one person. So like they all know there's a possibility that they can get back to their universe, but they don't know how to. And they're scared of how to. And they won't discuss how it is. It's like any family. You don't discuss the big horrible thing that you all know you could do, but it might be a horrible thing to do it.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like, we kind of focus on the superhero aspect, the interesting backstory for narrative devices they're using, but the bulk of this really is just their relationships and how they're dealing with this situation, and that's kind of what makes, at least for me, made this stand out.
Do none of them know that the Barbalian guy is gay?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Well, why would Gale have made a pass at him on the roof?
Yeah.
I think.
Well, that's weird that you would live with people for 10 years and not tell them, or they wouldn't
Well,
find
but
out.
they're all kind of hiding. Like
Well, yeah, I know,
he's been
but-
hiding everything. Yeah.
I would talk about my life, though, and it might be like my boyfriend, is whatever, a guy.
But they kind of set up that on Mars, where he came from,
Yeah.
like it was not accepted. And then you've got in his
Well, and I guess
backstory, he made a pass at his cop partner,
Yeah.
and that did not go well.
I saw that.
So he's obviously, he's a closeted guy. He's hiding it.
Well, that's just sad.
Well, especially
in more
because
ways.
him and-
Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna
he's
say,
closeted a lot of different ways. Yeah.
yeah. But it is a little surprising because him and Gale seem kind of close, but she obviously doesn't know because she's infatuated with him.
If you could shapeshift and you were homosexual and couldn't handle it, why wouldn't you shift him to the opposite sex?
Ooh.
Well, that's deep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, that gets into, I guess,
Lots of
what's
different
the
questions.
gender identity and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
sorry.
it's an interesting point, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know the answers to these questions anyway. Let's move on.
Well, one of the interesting things is that they've all got I always call it like superhero problems, like the after effects of being whatever powers they have, and they just have real world functioning people problems. Like
Right.
they're both bad at being both things at once, and both identities are struggling for different reasons, which is again really well done. Like it says, I mean, I know you guys probably haven't read a lot of Jeff Lemire, because when I first read Jeff Lemire, all of his stuff I read before was all like indie comic stuff to a great degree, like Essex County and Sweet Tooth, where it wasn't superheroes, capes and tights, and I kind of was like, oh, this guy's gonna do Animal Man and Swamp Thing, and then later on like Hawkeye, like I don't know if I want him doing that stuff, but I again, I'm not a big timer. I did meet him and we did talk about loving like Ron's Age comics for like an hour at a con one time. But like he really loves this stuff and like wants to do this stuff more than the indie stuff, but kind of started doing the indie stuff and was like, this is fun too. I'm going to marry both things together. And I've seen other takes on this that I don't think are as seamless as this is, but this is pretty seamless genre bending, I think too.
Yeah, it's good because you've got, obviously you have the superhero thing going on, and then you have the more, as he would describe it, like indie drama thing going on, indie comics kind of real world drama and character work, but also like, at least at this point in the story, there's a lot of mystery going on. So the scenario itself really ties it all together. And then within that, everything just kind of works pretty well.
I kept thinking of Planetary and how is that Warren Ellis?
Yeah.
Okay, like he likes to use a lot of analogs too, but when he uses analogs, it feels more tongue in cheek, and this feels more like a love letter.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting.
And I like them both, but they just like two different takes on how to use an analog.
Do you have?
Well, it's not. It doesn't really have anything to do with this. I just had a question. The Captain America type character. I can't even remember anybody's name.
Abraham Slam?
Yeah. Okay. Does he even have superpowers? Because it didn't seem like he did. It seemed like that one guy trained him, and that was it.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I don't think he really did.
Okay.
No, I don't think so either. Because like that's interesting, Mel. Because I thought he might have, because they did the whole thing where it was very Captain America, like he tried to enroll in the army, couldn't, and then trained to become a boxer. And then just was like a two-fisted hero. No, I don't think he does. Because then there's another flashback later on where he meets the Black Hammer, who's kind of a dick to him.
Oh, yeah, straight up.
And says he's kind of too old to fight this Cthulhu doctor monster thing.
Cthulhu. Oh,
I know.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry to derail. I forgot about that. That made me laugh. Cthulhu.
I thought you'd like that.
Cthulhu.
Yeah. Yes. Perfect.
I think he ages. And so for him, this idea of retiring on a farm fits in perfectly. For the rest of them, like where they don't age right or they have powers that make them immortal or whatever else,
Yeah.
like being stuck on a farm for 10 years would probably be pretty bad.
Yeah. But he's basically normal anyway.
A normal
so
dude, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I thought that was the case, but I was just checking.
I want to know, does the not Martian Manhunter hook up with the minister guy?
Well, you'll have
Don't
to
do it.
find out.
Don't spoil it.
I'm guessing it just because it's a comic book and drama. I'm guessing it doesn't go well, but
I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm off on my
You're just gonna have
coloring,
to
but I
read it.
swear that guy was blushing a bunch when they were talking last.
I kind of like it. I kind of like this like relationship that they're potentially
I'm rooting
setting
for
up.
him. I'm
Yeah.
rooting for the Martian.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it a Martian or is it just an alternate world? I
It's
mean, I
Martian.
just
He's
think of
Martian.
him.
Yep.
He is Martian. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say there's moments of joy and moments of sorrow.
Okay, interesting. Nice. Let's talk about Gail. She's it's kind of alluded to.
Man,
I
she's
mean,
a complex character.
Oh, yeah.
she's not really like an alcohol. They don't call her out as an alcoholic, but alluded to a very foul-mouthed alcoholic 50-something-year-old woman in the body of an 8 or 9-year-old. And so I thought that was interesting. And obviously, like, she gets a lot of focus, so that's something that Jeff Lemire found interesting, that situation.
would suck.
Yeah, like, it's not really even played for laughs, like it could kind of be, and it's amusing sometimes, but
I would
it does,
hate that. I would.
It does sell how miserable that is.
I would
that
be
she's trapped in
so
this young
unhappy.
body.
I would hate to be a kid forever. No, no way. I would hate having to go to school all the time. I would be very, very, very upset.
And they don't really, at least maybe they did, and I just didn't pick up on it. Like, they don't really establish it until she says, I'm paraphrasing, I miss having boobs. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't really care about my boobs, but still.
But it's that sells the whole point of like, no, she should be, she's a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you couldn't get laid. That would suck so much. How I can't believe everybody doesn't completely understand her problems.
Well, it's not like you're being stuck at an awesome age either, like 25 years old. Would be a pretty great age physically to be stuck in, right? Compared to being like stuck in a 9-year-old's body.
Yeah.
She does have her superpowers.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it doesn't hurt any good.
Right.
There's definitely the bigger mystery of like, why are they here and what's the scenario? Why is she stuck there? Like stuck in that.
Why is she stuck without her powers, but that other chick's cabin comes with her? That was a question I had in my brain.
Oh, that's a good question too.
As I say, because one of them is magical, but they're both magical.
Right.
I don't know.
Maybe it has something to do with the rest of the series. No.
Yeah.
And I will say, there's series where we've read one volume for the show, and I'm like, oh, well, okay, I'm good with that. This is one I'm going to have to read the rest of.
Like, there's books where it's like, obviously we read the first volume, it continues on. It's like, even if I really liked it, I'm like, oh, that was interesting. I don't always feel extremely compelled to like track down volume 2 and continue. But this is definitely one where, yeah, I'd want to read more.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I done good then. All right.
Yeah, good job.
Oh, yeah, no, I enjoyed this. Yeah, I guess we didn't even really get into our actual opinions, but I enjoyed this quite a bit. I liked it. It was a pretty quick read.
That's the other reason, too. I didn't want to pick something that was going to be super laborious and take forever to get through. Because that's the other thing with doing the podcast with my dad. I found in terms of getting it done like a week. Usually we record a week ahead of time, but like even for me, like anything above 5 or 6 issues and it's dense, it just becomes mind numbing quickly.
Yeah, I'm glad. I kind of suggested, well, which of these books that you recommend would be a quicker read?
Yeah.
Because we had, and it didn't turn out to be that bad, but I know we had, for next episode we'll be discussing Daredevil, Frank Miller, so it's like late 80s comics, and I was like, that tends to be quite a bit more dense.
Yeah, and even though technically this one was longer,
it's a lot quicker read, isn't it?
It went way faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, but I don't know if we're wrapping up, but I want to get one thing in with the Dean Ormiston on the artwork. Like, he had a stroke in 2015.
After the first issue, right?
Yes.
I think it was, yeah.
Before it was even put to press. And he had to relearn how to draw with his left hand. So all of this is drawn with him relearning how to draw his left hand. And if I didn't tell you that, I don't think you noticed it from page to page.
Yeah, I only know that. Yeah, I'm glad you bring up the art because I do kind of want to talk about it. It's kind of a mixed bag for me, but I only know that they mentioned it in the afterword of the book, and I wouldn't have noticed. Like the first issue he did before, and then basically he had a stroke, and then it took some time before he was able to continue on the series, but I couldn't tell. And go back and look, and like you can't tell. Like it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good point.
So you said you had a mixed bag reaction to the art. Why is that? I'm just curious.
Okay, so I think the art looks nice, and I like that it's not. And again, maybe I shouldn't read that afterwards, so I don't have this insight from the creators, coloring my judgment. But I do appreciate that's not the super standard superhero type style. It's not the standard comic book style. And Lemire said he liked that because he didn't want it to just then turn into another superhero book.
Right.
And for certain things, I think it works well. For the horror stuff, the Colonel Weird stuff, like his vignette, his backstory, like that stuff, it looks fantastic. And the art looks well, but I'm just not wild about the faces and the
Of
style.
certain
The
people?
style's just
The
a
one-
little funky. The women in particular, like especially when it does close up, they all kind of look the same.
I don't like this is just me, but I didn't like it. I've seen we've read other books there. It's like this. They have too many lines on their faces, some of the people, and it distracts me.
Yeah, his character model anatomy is kind of off-putting for me too. This is interesting in terms of this is pretty close. I'm not saying he's aping because I've seen him draw Lucifer before, and it looks very similar to this. Not exact same style, but this looks very like Jeff Lemire's style. By the way, like if you've ever read. So like when I first picked this up, I was like, Jeff drew this too? I was like, oh no, he did not. But yeah, it works really well for the weird stuff. I mean, I would say because he's a 2000 AD artist, and I think it's got that 2080 look and feel to it, more or less. I know that it's a magazine or prog, whatever they call it, that changes over time. But I wonder what this would look like if it was drawn like a golden age superhero comic all the way through.
Yeah. No,
you know what I mean? Or a romance comic of the 50s or something.
Yeah.
They had romance comics. That's so sad.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not to say it would necessarily be better, but I think either of those would have still fit it really well. And again, like his art's not bad. It's definitely good, but yeah, it's kind of grotesque. It's kind of ugly. Like the characters are ugly. I think the backgrounds look good. I like the layouts. The coloring.
He is much more interested. Yeah, he's much more interested, I think, in drawing landscapes and monsters than he is, 9-year-old girls.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Not to say the women necessarily all like. Not that they look the same. Like you could tell who was who. I didn't have any issue there. But like when it would go to close up, the 9-year-old girl, Madame Butterfly, and Abraham's girlfriend. I can't remember her name.
The waitress. Yeah, I forget her name too.
They all look very similar. They're all very. Their lips are the same, and they're like kind of small, like small in their face, and like, but they have the big kind of round face heads, and like, yeah, it's just similar. And I don't know, just wasn't a big fan of.
You like chicks with big lips, huh?
I'm not saying it's not any preference like that. It's just well, then I read the bit about the stroke, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't say anything, but I'm like, it doesn't have anything to do with that.
No, it's his art style.
Yeah, exactly. The style is consistent throughout the whole thing.
And I mean, I prescribe to the theory of, I should prescribe as like an adult. I subscribe to the theory of no art's bad art, but there is, there's art that you don't enjoy, and then I think there is art that is technically unappealing, like his anatomy on his female face is a bit technically unappealing. And the more for the longest time, I didn't really care much about comic book art. I would just kind of fly through the story, and I was more story driven. But over the years, I've kind of focused on more artists I enjoy. And one of the big things I take away is I can tell when an artist likes drawing things more than other things, because you can tell he does not enjoy spending a lot of time drawing Gale. Like he likes drawing Barbalian and Talkie-Walkie much more than he likes drawing, even Abraham.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I mean, I can see the appeal. I'm not an artist; I can't draw anything, but like I can see the appeal of drawing like Robbie the Robot or 6'5" craggy looking alien would be really fun to draw.
Yeah, no, you have a good point, definitely. And those are characters where that extra detail definitely works too.
Well, and Talkie-Walkie is this great, like Robbie the Robot, like kind of like a throwback design, almost steampunky.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the issue 12, I think, is down the road, is a whole I'm saying her name wrong. Talkie-Walkie. It's all it is an origin story about her.
Oh, interesting.
It's fantastic.
I definitely have to continue reading this.
Yeah.
She's so sassy.
Now, did Jeff Lemire, did he do Sweet Tooth also?
Yes, he did.
So, in terms of the art, did he do the art for Sweet Tooth?
Yep. Yeah, that's art. And
yeah, I can definitely see the comparison between the two styles then.
Yeah, because if you
very
look back,
stylistic.
Exactly. It's almost that that art house style where all the guys who do Mike Mignola, BPRD or Hellboy all kind of start to take that house style of BPRD or Hellboy. They're just, varying degrees of Hellboyish, Mignola-esque kind of drawing to it.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually, I was kind of dancing around that because I kept wanting to say, it looks like Hellboy, but I mean, like, not quite. I mean,
right.
Like, Hellboy's got a lot more contrast to it, and it's definitely got its own appeal, but I kept thinking Hellboy in my head.
And again, I don't know, like, if you go back and look at Dima Ormson's artwork on other stuff, his style is not this. Like, this is clearly a style I think he adopted, or maybe adopted, but amplified for this, if that makes sense.
I wasn't super familiar with other stuff that he's done, or at least I don't know that I am.
I wasn't either, other than I read Lucifer, and I knew his name from Lucifer. And that's about all I can really connect the two with.
He did a lot of Judge Dredd, too.
Yes, yeah, there you go.
That makes sense, yeah. But you mentioned 2080. Yeah, I could definitely see that kind of style, because some of that stuff is it's all right to be uglier, like
yeah, exactly.
For some reason, I was thinking of Punisher. It made me feel like.
Well, like
Frank Castle's got a little bit of dread lip going on, so.
Yeah.
When we read Punisher,
yeah,
some time ago we read Punisher Max, and that had a very kind of grotesque style to it.
Well, and it won an Eisner in 2017 for Best New Series, apparently.
Yeah,
really.
So this is award-winning.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend this to people. I think it's good.
Yeah, me too. Or maybe not every. Well, I like with everything. Not everybody, probably.
Yeah.
There's somebody that would be a pain in my butt about it, but.
Don't recommend it to your mom.
I'm not going
to. People that don't read comics.
Yeah, I know.
Don't recommend this to Patrick's dad.
No,
no,
he doesn't like it?
No.
No,
he would not like
too
this.
Meta. Too meta for his dad.
And he would, like, there'd be stuff he would focus on, like, why is that roof brown? Why is that roof brown? And, like, there's a floating witch, and I'm like, I don't know, Ben. There's a lot of other stuff going on other than a floating, roof.
Focus, on the strangest details.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't mean to do it.
No, you don't. You don't do it that bad.
No.
Yeah.
Nowhere near.
Yeah.
But I think it was great, and I had lots of questions, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than me complaining about it, I'm curious about it. That's a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks for the recommendation on this.
Yeah, if I could throw one out for you and for listeners, and down the road, if you're going to put this on a poll list, is Jeff, especially around Halloween, Jeff Lemire's The Nobody, which is his Invisible Man story. It's just a graphic novel. Mm-hmm. It's probably his best artwork, and it's like this. It mashes up like a horror kind of, like, it is definitely a horror story, but it's also like a romantic family drama story.
Interesting.
I like the title too.
Yep.
All right. Let's do some letters page, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
This is Randy from in the future, and I have a very important message for you. The Grawlix podcast is missing something, and that something is you. Join our letters page segment. If you have thoughts on what we're reading, what we just read, what we're about to read, what you're reading, or you just want to say hi, send us an email to letters@grawlixpodcast.com, and we'll read and discuss your letter on the show. What the devil? What are you doing here? Hey folks, this is Randy from further in the future. And what my former self neglected to mention is we also have a Google Voice line. You can call it, leave a message, and we will play that message on the next episode of the Grawlix podcast. Try to keep it under 2 minutes. Whatever you want to talk to us about it. Ideally, something related to the show. Dial 559-426-6427, or if this helps you remember, 559-4-COMICS. Type that into your phone, you'll be connected to our voicemail, leave us a message, and we will play it on the show. This is getting ridiculous. Get out of my way. This is Randy from even further in the future. And what these two knuckleheads neglected to mention is if you'd rather send us an MP3 recording of yourself to play on the show, you can hit that email. Again, that's letters@grawlixpodcast.com with an MP3 attachment, and we'll play it during the show. Just try to keep your language clean and keep it under 2 minutes. Also, hey Bonehead, did you just shoot our younger self? Yeah, it's cool. Shouldn't we be doing the Marty McFly disappear from the picture act right now? No, it's fine. He was a time remnant. Oh, a time. That doesn't make sense. A time remnant doesn't make sense. At some point, older Randy has to travel back to talk to younger Randy. But if older Randy kills younger Randy never gets to become older Randy and travel back in time. It's time travel, not cloning. We're not cloning and sending ourselves back. We're just time traveling. You don't know that. We could be operating on primer rules. In that case, there can only be one.
And this is Matt D.
This is Matt D.
This is good synergy because Matt D is one of our listeners because of our guest spot on Make Dad Read Comics. So.
Oh, really? Good. Okay, good.
Full circle.
Yeah, we stole one of your people. No.
Good. That's fine.
I don't think we stole him. I think he's got discerning tastes.
That's
he
fine.
listens to the best podcasts.
Oh, good.
Healthy letter here from Matthew Downs. Greetings, you great group of Grawlixers. I just wanted to start off. I received this just after the beginning of January, so I just wanted to start off saying Happy New Year. I'm currently having a deja vu moment as I have been listening to your archive and current episode. Okay, he's been listening to our archive and our current episodes as they come out.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be confusing as heck because we constantly reference ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I just happened to hear January 1st, 2017 and January 1st, 2018 back to back.
Oh, that'd be all right.
So for me, it was 2 New Year's recaps within a 2-hour span.
Oh, maybe not so good.
It's just a little timey-wimey. Speaking of timey, he's going to know exactly the things that we didn't follow up on.
Yep.
Speaking of timey-wimey, I also enjoyed your review of the Doctor Who Christmas special. Ooh, we're getting all kinds of the Doctor Who opinions on this episode again. I have to agree with you on several points. 1, David Bradley made an awesome first Doctor. I thought he portrayed the 60s era Doctor to a T. And he spelled it T-E-A. I don't know if that was like a pun or a joke.
Because he's British.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's capitalized, so it's got to be. I honestly have to say individuals, not people on this podcast, that focus on the sexism brought up by Bradley's portrayal of a fictional character need to really take a step back and see that it's only a TV show and not some hidden feminist agenda. B, as in the first one was point 1. This is point B. Mark Gatiss' character was fantastic. I thought it was awesome that he was the Brigadier's father. Not to mention, he felt like a classic companion stumbling onto the Doctor's TARDIS. Point 3. Stephen Moffat needs to stop rehashing old ideas. Yep.
Oh man, we could spend a whole episode on that one.
I think we have before.
Yeah, well, probably.
The use of the afterlife with saving people, like the season closer for season 8 with Mr. Pink. Mr. Pink?
With Danny Pink when he turned into Cyberman,
That's
and
right.
Missy used TARDIS technology, and
Steve Buscemi popped in my head. I was like, Mr. Pink. Okay.
that would be a great. Let's do that mashup. Mr. Danny Pink.
Wow.
Reservoir Cyberman.
What Pink? Okay, I won't continue. I mean, come on. Sci-fi shows like Doctor Who really shouldn't address God, Earth-based religions, or the afterlife. Interesting point. From my viewpoint, it pulls me out of a sci-fi story. It loses a little something for me. I really can't place my finger on it, but it just doesn't have the same glow to the story. Then, of course, you get into the theological type feeling, and next thing you know, you're on a holy crusade. Okay, I think I went off the rails a little on that one. Let me rein it back. Basically, it's the same to me as Star Trek V. What does God need with a starship? Need I say more? Okay, so that could be a can of worms with God and the afterlife in science fiction stories. Sorry. Interesting points there. I could see that being very conflicting for people. It doesn't generally bother me, but it just depends, I guess, on the story.
But it does bother me that Moffat goes back to that well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, for
Over
sure.
and over and over, which I think is his point, and I agree with him on that. Like he overuses it.
Let's see. And finally, the Doctor, and finally on the Doctor Who talk anyway, and finally, the Doctor as a woman. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm a way old school Doctor Who fan, and I see the character as a male. I'm curious how the Doctor will be portrayed as a woman. Honestly, I hope that they keep his/her core values of being a strong character, and the writers don't rewrite her into a weak character. Oh, I twisted my ankle on this rock. I can't see that. Also, I thought
we haven't. I mean, if we can just stop for a sec, we heard how Patrick's dad felt about it. I think in the clip that you sent us, Patrick. What are your thoughts on it?
I think I ate my dad's take on, like, you know, my idea is, like, he's a space alien from outer space. He's thousands of years old. Why would it be that shocking that he would change into a woman? It just gotta go with it. Like, I probably had more like Matt's take. I was like, well, you know what? Like, I don't want the story to suddenly change tone and shift to something completely different than what it is, and everyone be very hung up on the you know, writing it with a female voice and da da da. But then my dad was just like, what's it really matter if it's a man or a woman, Patrick? If it has Doctor Who's name on it, it's still Doctor Who. And I was like, you know what, Dad? I just got to take your 1,000-yard view of everything. And then but you know, take this as a grain of salt. Then I said, hey, Dad, what's a spaceship he flies around? He'd be like, a Bargamus. And I'm like, a what? Like the ship's called the Bargamus. And I'm like, all right, fair enough.
a Bargamus. I love it.
So, like, you know, that's because the guy who called the TARDIS the Bargamus, because it sounded like it. They thought that's what they were saying. But yeah, I just think, like, you know, again, it's a space alien. Like, just expand the disbelief. And you know what? Things change. Your Doctor Who still exists for years and years and years. This Doctor Who will be another Doctor Who. My Spider-Man still existed. He's still around. He's not Tony Stark's Spider-Man right now. No one killed my Spider-Man just because he became black or whatever else. He's always going to be Spider-Man.
Wave your hand above your head.
It was comic books. Doctor Who. Whatever it is. Wave your hands.
Yeah. Wave your hands.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, essentially it comes down to, this was kind of, I think, our takeaway on the initial conversation, but his point of, like, he says, you know, I hope that they keep his/her core values of being a strong character. I mean, essentially, like, yeah, they just, if
as
the
long as
writing's
he's well
good,
written.
if the writing's
As
good,
long as she's well written.
That's going to get confusing.
Right.
I kind of ran into that issue with Missy/Master.
Right. And well, I see the point where he says, like, you know, suddenly we're going to have this story written where, you know, she's written as this dainty woman falling and twisting her ankle and stuff like that. Like, I don't think it'll fall into that trap, but, like, I don't know. I would hope not. I'd hope that it'd be heads up enough not to do so, but
that would just be poor writing.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, continuing on here. Also, I thought it was rather awesome that out of the three of you on the podcast, it was Melanie to make a comment about the TARDIS, quote, kicking the female doctor out. Mel, you are my hero. Can I be like you when I grow up?
Sure.
For a devout women suck card member, you surprised me. Perhaps there is some Christmas cheer in the Grinch's heart.
That heart is bigger on the inside, so.
And speaking of females, how about those paper girls? Man, okay, so, yep, we're going to talk about Paper Girls, which we discussed last episode.
I like that one also.
Man, I'm so glad you all got to read this book, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. Okay, sorry, this is, again, I got this before the episode come out. This book really brought me back to my childhood. It had that feel of an 80s teen adventure, like Goonies, E.T., or Monster Squad. What's not to love? We have the typical archetype characters from most 80s films. The honor student kid with that is focus on her schoolwork. and making the right decisions, the bad boy/girl character that smokes, causes trouble, and has a broken home life, the sports kid with a hockey stick, and the techie kid that saved up her earnings to buy a walkie-talkie. Yeah, totally.
Or a talkie-walkie.
Oh. I wouldn't, in that story, I wouldn't have been surprised to see like somebody like talkie-walkie walk
Yeah,
out.
no doubt.
Then there is the big threat our heroines get sucked into by some crazy cosmic circumstance. Future time-traveling teenagers. The coolest cliffhanger was them finding an iPod from one of the teens and then referencing their school's new computers. Oh yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that was a good part.
Okay, so my age is going to show here, but I can totally remember when my grade school got Apple IIe's and playing Oregon Trail during recess on winter days. Broken axle. Spend 2 days repairing it. Where the hell can I get an axle in the middle of Nebraska?
Everywhere. We still sell them.
Okay, wait. Where the hell can I get an axle in the middle of Nebraska while I try to hunt an 8-bit bear to feed my family?
All right, that's
okay.
fair. There are way too many 8-bit bears in Nebraska.
I know
Yeah.
Okay, back to Paper Girls. Plus, it's about freaking time travel. How fracking cool is that? Cue Back to the Future theme song here. I don't want to do that, but yes. Wait, back to... Wait, how's the Back to the Future theme song go?
I don't know. I keep hearing Ghostbusters.
Gigawatts! How about that? Is that good enough? Okay.
Gigawatts, yes.
And then, of course, there's the strange guy that is in charge of the future adults. He sort of reminds me of a warped Doctor Strange. I really don't have a whole lot to say about him other than he's just strange. Hey, speaking of things that are strange and of the 80s, I started watching Stranger Things based on your discussions in your archive episodes.
Why would he take so long?
Oh, I know, right?
Fantastic.
Oh, I'm sure he's probably finished it by now.
Oh, that's true. That's
Because
true.
this is a month ago, right?
Yeah. Much like Paper Girls, I am so digging this series right now. I'm only 4 episodes in, and I have to say, Winona Ryder is selling the bat crap crazy mom.
Oh, man. Yeah, she does.
Oh, she really does. The cliffhangers from each episode makes me look forward to the next one. The series is awesome. The only thing that it is missing so far is a cool 80s TV car chase sequence where a car flips over and bursts into flames.
Oh, hang in there, Matt. Hang in there. You might get that.
Maybe even have a tank in there flattening a few cars driven by a genetically altered monkey.
I gotta say, I love Matt's segues in all of his emails.
Oh, I know.
He just seamlessly goes from talking point to talking point.
Hey, speaking of tank driving monkeys, I just bought this book. I just bought this book online from Amazon called Tank Monkey. It is Grawlix hilarious. Jesse, I don't know where you come up with this stuff, but I love it, man. I totally hear Colonel Klink from Hogan's Heroes as the force of Panzer.
Panzer is like he's my anti-tank monkey. He's the bad guy. And yeah, I mean, like I responded to this email, but he's not far off because I kind of based that character off of Fearless Leader from Rocky and Bullwinkle, and he kind of does sound like Colonel Klink. So there you go.
Oh, and Baron Silverback is so Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV.
Oh,
I
big
break
time.
you.
Big time.
I just cracked the spine on it last night, which was the first of the year, January 1st. And I have read the first half of The Rise and Fall of Tank Monkey.
Yeah, and that's probably one of the best parts of that book. So hopefully you enjoy the other stuff too. But yeah, I led with my best material.
All right, and it goes on a little bit more, but I'll skip over that. We got the main.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for buying
Yeah.
the book. Thank you for enjoying it. It's I had a lot of fun doing it, and I'd like to get back to it someday. We'll see. Life.
And Matt, you are our favorite little rascal, Spunky. Spunky T.
Yeah.
Spunky D.
Patrick, thank you for being on the show with us. Man, why did we wait so long?
I don't know. I'm very happy. I've thought of inviting myself on people's shows before, but I think that'd be gross. And you were the first ones I thought of inviting. You know what? I think Randy. I think I did invite myself on. I was like, you could have me on a Nights or a Bites or something, just and they're just randomly talk. I think I invited myself a long time ago. And you're nice.
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
like, yeah, maybe in the future. I don't know. Maybe.
No.
We were actually talking about doing it immediately, and then just a couple weeks ago, I was like, I don't think we ever got back to Patrick.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, no, we're not great about guests because people will ask us, or we'll even be like, "Hey, we really need to have Patrick or so and so on. Like, we need to do that." And we're let's do it. And then we like it just
We'll
doesn't
just fall back into format, you know.
Yeah. I know
Yeah,
how it
exactly.
goes.
So it's
We're glad that
trust me,
you were able to come back on.
we've wanted to for a long time. It's just a matter of
It's true,
scheduling and actually doing it.
Heard it many a time.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you, Melanie. If Melanie said it, I know it's true. Then I know that like you two are probably lying to me.
I don't do good at the not saying what
Melody's
I feel.
the trustworthy one. I don't know if that's good or bad.
She's the straight shooter.
Yeah,
That's right.
There you go.
All right, Patrick, where can they find your stuff? Where can they listen to you or whatever?
If you listen to podcasts in any way whatsoever, like if you listen to podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, just put in Make Dad Read Comics or put in Almost Educational. Make Dad Read Comics is where I make my dad read a comic book or a collected edition of a comic book every single week and try to explain comic books to a 69-year-old man. Almost Educational is with my friend and a guy I used to teach with, but he's still a teacher now, Dennis. It's everything we can't get to in terms of curriculum and classroom that we'd love to talk about, that we talk about on the podcast. A lot of times it delves into like alternate history or hot takes on the news that we couldn't talk about in the class. We try to frame around our government or our English class. And in the near future, if Dennis gets on it, maybe we'll have a Patreon page because people have asked us to make one too. So your explanation of Patreon payouts made me a little nervous. I was like, ooh, this is a Dennis department. But you can edit that part out. But no, you can find both of those. We actually have a website that's almosteducational.com. We put up lots of links to articles and so forth that we talk about on there.
Awesome.
And I love both episodes. Or like I love both shows.
Oh, good. Thank you.
I'm an avid listener of both.
I
Oh,
would
good.
be a
You were-
newbie.
Maybe. You're one of the few crossovers we have. I don't think there's a lot of crossover either. I've asked other people and they've emailed, I think including Matt in the future. He's like, no, I don't listen. I'm like, okay, thank you. Thanks, I know.
Melanie doesn't listen to anything, so
No,
I mean,
but if
like they're
did-
not all for me. I don't get into the sports stuff, but
Good for you. No, that's fine. I
when
understand.
you guys get into your alternate history, or you created the board game, the political board game was
oh,
excellent.
that episode was
the
crazy.
alternate
board-
history knife fight was, oh my god.
Well,
People go listen to that.
Constitutional Crisis, the board game, is being physically constructed by spring.
Yes.
Physical construction. Yep.
I need that in my
might be-
life.
And that might go along with the launch of the Patreon page. We'll see if we can do it. If I can actually say Patreon or Patreon right the right way, we'll do it because I don't know how to even say it.
I think you're doing good.
Oh, good.
All right, come on, we're in.
This is awesome. We're in the Grawlix studios.
Look, it's a plate of Mel's hot biscuits. I've heard about those.
Oh my god, check it out. Jesse and Randy's beard oil. I didn't know you can buy that in buckets. Well, that Sam Club's membership is really paying off.
Okay, let's get in their computer and drop this promo.
Okay, let's do it.
We're the Roman Podcast, and in the future, we're sneaking a promo on the Grawlix show.
Okay, no, okay, seriously. Go.
Here we go.
I'm Roman LeBeau,
And I'm Rob Gast.
and we're from the Roman Podcast. We're just two Canadian guys getting together once a week to put our own spin on weird stories and trending news.
That's right, you can get our show every Wednesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, the Laughable app, and of course, here on the EMC Podcast Network.
Okay, I think we got it. Put that on their show. Now, let's get out of here.
Yeah, hang on. While I'm in their computer, I'm just going to update their comic book pull list for the next few months.
What are you adding?
Captain Canuck, of course.
Nice.
Tune in to The Kickouts, your weekly pro wrestling guides, right here on the Electric Media Collective Podcast Network, covering all the latest news, results, previews, rumors, and more from the world of professional wrestling, as well as covering the wrestling scene right here in Ireland.
This is Jesse, Fortune and Grawlix kid, Fortune and Grawlix.
This is Melanie, and I'm a relatively respectable citizen. Multiple Grawlix, perhaps, but certainly not dangerous.
This is Randy. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to Grawlix.
This is Patrick. It's Grawlix, Jake. It's Grawlix.
Thank you for listening to the Grawlix Podcast. The Grawlix Podcast is a production of the Electronic Media Collective and Vorpal Arrow Studios. For more Grawlix Podcast, visit grawlixpodcast.com. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/GrawlixPodcast, or follow us on Twitter at GrawlixPodcast. We're also everywhere. All the time. All at once.
This is Patrick. I came here to kick ass and chew Grawlix, and I'm all out of Grawlix.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
And it's perfect that you did that one because we have done that one multiple times.
I thought so. I know you have.